Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jim.
Hello, hello.
Can you hear us, Jim?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, so I speak more softly.
Nope, you're just fine.
Okay. Excuse me, my voice has been a little bit off the last few days anyway, but good morning, everybody. I think, what do we got, 9 o'clock it looks like, or 9:01 Verizon time. So we will call the February 13th, 2025 meeting of the Bismarck Parking Authority to order. I think the first order of business, we'll review the minutes or consider the minutes, and then we'll introduce our newest member. Is there any comments or questions or changes to the minutes from the January 9th meeting? If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion. This is Todd.
Is there a second? Was there a second?
Yes, second.
Jake, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Before we get on to the regular agenda, we'd like to introduce our newest member, Joe. Joe Berger comes to us. I'm going to let him tell us his background, but he was recommended highly by Kate from the Downtowners, and in spite of that, he got appointed by the mayor. So, Joe, you want to take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. It's actually John. I work for electronic communications now.
Is your mic on?
I gotta hold it down. It's actually John Berger.
Oh, I'm sorry, John.
No, that's all right. I work for electronic communications downtown. Like you'd mentioned there, Kate was the one that recommended me to apply for the board here. Follow in Chuck Hale's footsteps, as you might remember him. He's here for a long time, so
I remember him very well.
basically picking up from him. So that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome to the Parking Authority.
Thank you.
We meet monthly, as you know, and we handle the business of the structured parking in downtown Bismarck, the 4 ramps, as well as a couple of surface lots. And you'll see as we go on, a lot of our time gets spent with maintenance and repair items. These structures are expensive to maintain, but moving forward into the future, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on in the meeting, we are investigating possibilities for opportunities for new parking ramps as well. So we'll get into that. Under the regular agenda, item 2 would be to review the financial statements. Everybody has copies of those, I assume, and has had a chance to review them. Is management, Jeremy, is there anything you'd like to point out? Any extraordinary items, income, expenses, capital items?
Mr. Chairman, Authority Board members, so we have January financials, first month into 2025. So far, so good. No glaring surprises or unexpected items here. We're starting out well for the income side, and on expense side, just 2 items to note: that the snow removal expense is actually from billings from November and December of last year and a partial of January. And that's for the snow. We have to haul the snow out from our surface lots at 3rd and Rosser and 5th and Main, because our Parking Authority staff actually handles the snow removal as far as the sidewalk, city sidewalk areas around all the ramp structures, and then removing snow from the rooftops and snow that blows in, of course, into the ramps too. So this is strictly just for the surface lots, but there is 2.5 months of billing there. And then insurance bills that came in this last month was for the general liability and the boiler insurance for parkades. So our reserve balance is $2,689,459.
Okay. Any questions of Jeremy, or any comments or questions on the financials? I imagine the next month the utilities line item is going to look a little different, but nothing we can do about that. It's going to look that way on all of our buildings. Anyone have any questions of management for the financials? Anything at all? Okay. If not, we'd entertain a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Motion to approve the financials.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sue.
Josh? John? Todd?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 3 on the regular agenda would be an update from John Lee, or maybe I'll call him Joe Lee, of the CRA group for sorry about that, for the Parkade vacant commercial space. John, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Good. Welcome.
I'm good with Joe, by the way. It doesn't matter. Only one letter off.
I was going off script when I introduced John Berger, and I should never do that.
I hear you. Mr. Chairman, board members, so we've had the listing for 2 years, the open space in the Parkade building. It's probably been the 2 slowest years in commercial realty in the last decade. Shown it a handful of times, and that's if I'm missing my thumb. So 4 times. Generally, I've pitched it a lot. The biggest drawback is there are no windows. There's no street entrance. We've done some things creatively with signage that we've never done before. We put up a sign on the pole outside the parkade to kind of draw interest, draw the eyes in so that people know there's a space available. The main space, the big space, is about 2,700 square feet, and then the extra 1,000 square feet would be the office and the storage room. So getting a user group to take on all that space, a little bit challenging, especially with the no windows and the outside entrance. We feel very optimistic about this year. Things seem to be very busy in January, rolling into February, and we get into the spring season. I think we'll get more traction, get more looks. So our listing is up tomorrow, and I'd be happy to keep running with it. I'll leave that for you to decide. It's some things to think about maybe outside the box. I think we could actually rent the office space, which is detached from the main space, maybe generate some revenue. We've looked at different layouts, maybe how to cut up the space. It's really a challenge because there's only that one door to the outside of the alley, which would be the fire exit. You could have a hallway, different setups, but didn't really want to do too much. Just want to kind of plant a seed. If we had a user that came in and maybe wanted to demise the space and take up a smaller portion, I don't know that we would want more than 2 tenants in there. Ideally, we would take 1 tenant. Again, we kind of have that raised platform where the pharmacy used to be. So showing the space, it's, people kind of look at it and, well, what do we do with this? And, there's, I guess it's just most people are fairly visual, and when they come in, they kind of have a hard time imagining how they would use the space for their business. But other than that, I'm more optimistic this year for all of our commercial listings, and this one included, that we could gain some traction, whether it leases or not. I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of price point. I think it's a matter of finding the right user for that space. So with that, I would stand for any questions.
Any questions of John? Any of the members?
John, could you give us an idea on the type of people that have looked at the space? You said you've had maybe 4 showings or something like that. Is there a
It's all been a retail
retail?
usage. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, it's in a great spot downtown, right? That's kind of where the action is there, 4th, 5th, 6th Street. It really, the ones there were a couple that were really seriously considering it, I would say. It was just that no entrance from the street and no windows, and if you think about it, even if you put windows in, it would be looking at the alley. So it's just a tougher space.
Other questions? Jeremy, do you have any comments or questions for John?
Mr. Chairman, no questions or comments, other than I think that from management perspective, if the board so chooses to extend the listing agreement, we're okay with that.
Sure. Well, my 2 cents, and I'm in the same world as John. The market is warming up. I have a vacant space on Main Avenue next to Dakota Stage Theater that's been vacant for close to a year, and all of a sudden I'm getting lots of inquiries from interesting looking businesses. So hopefully, that's spreading throughout downtown. This space, I don't know how you could handicap a space more. I mean, no street entrance, no windows. What could we possibly do? Have no electricity, no plumbing. I mean, it's a tough one. And I would certainly be open to demising the space, John, if you get somebody that wants to take part of it, break it into 2 parcels. Do we know what it would take to remove the raised platform from the pharmacy?
I haven't looked into it. I don't know, Jeremy.
Mr. Chairman, we haven't gotten any pricing on it other than, I think that I can review with our on-site maintenance, because we may be able to even handle part of that internally as far as the wood block part of it. Now, capping off, there is some electrical outlets there and whatnot. We'd have to get an electrician involved as far as capping, that off and,
Sure.
And whatnot. And I think there is one part of a, I mean, there actually is 2 plumbing lines, because I know they had a sink back in that part too. We'd have to cap that off. But as far as removing the platform, I don't think that would be too extensive.
It is a wood frame structure.
Correct,
Right?
yes. Yep.
Okay. John, in your opinion, would it be wise to get that cleaned out of there now? And would it show better with that gone and that raised area put back to floor level?
I think it does show better. I think the likelihood of someone wanting that to remain is low. The risk is you pull it out and then somebody wants to build it back again. But I don't really see that happening. I think it would be best to pull it out and just have an open, vanilla shell essentially, and I think people could see the possibilities a little better.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I haven't been in there in a long time, so shame on me. But what's the rest of the floor covering? Is it just bare concrete now, or is the old carpet tile in there from White Drug, or what's in there?
I believe it's vinyl. A
Is it
vinyl
sheet
flooring.
vinyl?
Yeah, I don't know what's under the platform, but
Right, of
but the
course.
rest is kind of a white vinyl flooring.
So if we pull the platform, we're going to have an exposed concrete, unfinished concrete floor area.
I believe so. Yeah.
Jeremy, do you want to look into that, or if the parking authority is in favor, I would support just having it removed, given Jeremy a budget of a couple $1,000 or 2,500 or whatever for plumbers, and just get that cleaned out, and then deal with it from there. What are your thoughts?
Mr. Chairman,
Anybody?
Jeremy here. So I think that even with our regular, repairs management budget, we'd still be in line with that. We're not going to rise to the level of, multiple
Okay.
bids and whatnot, especially with some of the work that we're doing in-house on that part of it. So I think if it turns into a bigger project, once we kind of get into it, obviously it'd come back to the board here. But, and I think even with the exposed concrete part of it, like any other new tenant that would come in there, especially if we demise the space, we'd have to do
New flooring.
new flooring and whatnot, so we'd probably just cross that bridge
Totally.
at that point.
Well, I'd be in favor of moving forward with demoing the platform and cleaning that corner up. What about the rest of the authority? Any thoughts?
I would be in favor of that also.
So, is that a motion?
That'll be a
Sounded like it.
motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second authorizing management to go ahead and demo that platform, clean that area up. And if they run into, obviously, any major items, they'll bring it back to us. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sue.
Josh?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. The second item then, while John's still at the podium, John or Jeremy, what was the term of the last contract? Was it 2 years or 3? I don't remember. The current contract that expires tomorrow.
Yes,
with
Mr. Chairman,
CRA.
authority board members, there was, let's see, original listing agreement date was February 16 of 2023, so it was a 1-year extension agreement, and this would be for an additional 1-year extension.
Okay, I would support that. What are the wishes of the board?
I will make the motion to approve a 1-year extension.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any Okay, thanks. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, Sue, call the roll, please.
Josh?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Todd? Jake?
Yep.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Thanks, John. Hopefully, things warm up in the commercial marketplace this spring.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your efforts. Item 4 on the agenda would be an update for the parkade repairs RFP. And that would be Jeremy's bailiwick.
Yep, Mr. Chairman, authority board members, we did go out for advertisement for bids on this project, first published last week, February 4th. It runs for 3 consecutive weeks. And then we do have a pre-bid conference for any contractors that are interested to bid to meet on site Thursday, February 20th at 10 a.m. at the parkade office on site at the parkade ramp. That is noted in the advertisement as well. And then the public bid opening, I should say RFP bids are due March 5th at 3 p.m. in the city office with the city administrator. The public bid opening will occur at 4 p.m. in the mayor's conference room on March 5th.
March 5th, okay. And then if you would, Jeremy, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to mention that we already did have 2 contractors express interest. We have Vector and Western Specialty.
Good.
So hopefully we get a few more as well.
That's twice as many as we had last time. For the benefit of our new member and for those who may not have a life and may be watching this morning, can you just give us a 10,000-foot overview of what the repairs are going to entail? Just a brief bullet point.
Yep, absolutely, Mr. Chairman. We have so the parkade, obviously the oldest ramp structure in Bismarck. We did notice with our engineer's assessment from last spring that we've got some spalling and cracking happening on the entry of the ramp on 6th Street, the ramp going into the parkade parking ramp. So obviously the most traffic wear and tear coming into the ramp on that part, with starting, stopping, vehicle weight and whatnot. So we had an engineer do up the bid packet for us with the drawings and schematics, and then so that's what's out for advertisement for bid right now for contractors to be able to do those repairs. But then it did include some repairs to the green level, which is 1 level up as, or I guess 2nd level of the parkade, where there is some dilapidation on some of the columns. Not a hazard, but just more of a shoring it up for long-term longevity of the ramp, and so those would be handled at that same time.
And Jeremy, if you would, while you got the mic, what were the engineer's estimates?
Engineer's estimate was I think 210,000.
Okay, thank you for that. John or other authority members, any questions? This is just an update, so any questions of management? Okay. As I said at the outset, John, these structures are expensive to maintain, and the older they get, the more expensive they are to maintain, just like some of us on the authority. Item 5 on the agenda, Parking Authority Board Member term selection status. So I think that's covered, right? Unless there's another vacancy coming up that I'm not aware of.
No, Mr. Chairman, at the time when I put the agenda together, that I didn't have the city agenda yet with the consent for that John got nominated, so that's why that was on there.
Okay. All right, we'll move on before he decides to back out. Other business, is Kate from the Downtowners with us this morning, or someone, or Dawn, or anybody with an
I'm
update?
always here, Chair Christensen.
Well,
I'm
good
one of those
morning,
people who
Kate.
doesn't have a life, but it's definitely part of my job. So,
We appreciate you.
yes, Chair, authority members, just a couple quick updates. I want to give a kudos, a shout out to staff. We were here a couple months ago with the Giving Hearts Day folks, and the ramp is super red, which is great. It looks awesome. Great for Valentine's Day, great for Giving Hearts Day. So thank you guys so much for all your help there. The Giving Hearts Day folks did purchase the lights, and then the authority hung them up kind of where we had the Christmas lights hung up. So that looks great. We had the banners put up on On Third Street, I've never put banners up in the winter. That was a chilly process. We usually do it in September for street fair, but we'll take those down probably in the next few days since Giving Hearts Day will be over. Authority member Berger did a terrible job of introducing himself, so I'm going to brag about him a little bit. John's been a part of our downtown 1 Million Cups crew for many, many years and volunteered there and is on that board, and that brings entrepreneurs and groups into the community to talk about what they're doing. So John's been a great volunteer there. He's volunteered for and his dog at Street Fair a number of times, and Wine Walk. He's a great community member downtown and has been involved in a lot of different things and helped a lot of groups. And big shoes to fill with Chuck Hale. Was on the authority for a long, long time. I think maybe, I don't know if any of the others remember him besides maybe Jim. And some
Jim
of the
does, for sure.
Jim does, and some of the staff as well remember Chuck. So you've got big shoes to fill. He was a Vikings fan. We didn't hold that against him, but he's a solid guy, and very happy to have you on board, John. So John, Joe, whatever we're going to call you. A couple other updates from downtown. If anybody watched the city commission meeting, there's going to be quite a few road projects throughout the city of Bismarck, but one of them that was proposed is 3rd Street, now south of Main Avenue, so between Main and Expressway. So it's kind of a gateway into the downtown. And we have some members that are on Front Avenue, so keep our eyes on that one. 3rd Street, north of Main, last year was not a fun situation or process. So we'll just sort of keep our eyes on that, see if it changes anything. That's really how a lot of people get into the 3rd Street ramp, because you can only take a right turn in, so you're coming north on that little stretch, but it'll be a block south of that, so keep that one in mind. Our residential occupancy rates downtown continue to be very high, which is great. Probably need a little bit more residential here coming up, and we've got a few interested folks doing some maybe mixed use or some residential projects downtown. I think as other John had mentioned, things are picking up, which is nice. The costs on the construction side's still quite high, just in terms of material, labor. But at some point, if you're going to do a project, you had to just kind of jump in, I think, because it's probably not going to get any cheaper. And I think that's what some folks have realized as well. The best time to start it was yesterday or, last year. So we're kind of hearing that from some of our folks. We had a really good January we do a burger slam event to try and get folks into the restaurants through what is generally a slow restaurant month, January, post-Christmas. So that was fantastic, better numbers than last year, and we did it in April last year. So that's been fun. Generally, I think it's going to be a really good year. As John had mentioned and Jim had mentioned, things are kind of loosening up. We have some discussions, and I don't know if Chair Christensen, you're going to mention it, but on future parking ramps, and we're meeting monthly now with the city parking authority, some of those users that would potentially use a new ramp, and just really starting to kind of dig into the details of what that would look like. And Chair Christensen, you've done a great job trying to get us some numbers and some feedback, so we're at least not thumbing around in the dark a little bit. And I don't know if you want to touch on that, or if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of Kate? And then I will touch on the parking task force, if you will. Sure. Any questions?
Kate, I know this is across the river, but any update on the Memorial Highway project or the Mandan project over there?
The
Yeah.
strip?
The Strip.
The
yeah.
Strip. I'm from Mandan, so I would call it the Strip. I think they're going to move forward with that. At least that state of the cities that we were at, the Mandan mayor did mention that that's going to be a huge project for them. So I think generally what that's going to do is right now it'd probably be considered a rural type of road, right? It has there's no sewer, there's no curb or anything like that. So really making it more of an urban section type of a road, but that'll be a huge project for them. I mean, that's a huge.
Is that on the schedule for this year or next year, right? Next year?
I don't know if they're going to go out to bid. They had some state dollars and some other dollars that they need to use or that they were looking at, but I can ask and find out what the schedule is.
I think it's been bid out already.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was talking to one of the business owners over in Mandan, and it sounds like it's gonna start maybe on the west end, and that's gonna be the first phase.
That would make some sense, yeah.
So, I just thought maybe you had some dirty secrets about it that you could.
I
share
have
with
dirty
us.
secrets about the strip, but not about construction in any capacity. Some long nights at the Dove, so, but, any other questions for me?
Any questions of Kate?
Thank
If
you.
not, thanks for the update, Kate. Todd, have you heard, is that project supposed to start this construction season then, this year? You know?
I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
It's
Well,
early
we'll
in the
find
day,
out.
and I've only been wrong once, so.
It's all right. So, does anyone else have any other business? Anyone else? And then I'll give a brief update. The parking group or parking task force, whatever you want to call it, that Kate referenced is chaired by the mayor, and we're meeting monthly now with Jason Timonik, city administrator, Kate, myself, Jeremy, representatives of some of the larger downtown parking, off-street parking users, Sanford, MDU, et cetera. And we actually meet again tomorrow morning to review some very preliminary cost estimates that we've secured. Well, they're not bids; they're estimates based on other projects that have been bid recently in the region, including the Fargo Airport ramp, a new ramp in Sioux Falls, new ramps in Fargo Moorhead area. So we've got a pretty good general idea of the cost today of a precast structure as well as a cast in place structure. Cast in place being the last example in Bismarck would be the 6th Street ramp, where it's actually poured in place concrete. Actually, all of our ramps, excuse me, are poured in place. Precast example locally would be like the First International Bank up across from the Capitol. That's where they cast the sections in a plant and then truck them in and set them in place with a crane. Anyway, we're reviewing some preliminary cost estimates. We're trying to identify, I guess, practical sites for a ramp somewhere along the Rosser corridor. And we've talked about this at this board before. One of the logical sites would be the county-owned surface lot at 5th and Avenue A, kitty corner from the library. It's almost exactly the same footprint as our 6th Street ramp. We're trying to engage the county in discussions about how that could possibly move forward, at least in the discussion stage. Obviously, there'd be all sorts of details to work out there, but that was one site. There are other sites that we are looking at and talking to property owners about along that Rosser corridor. So those discussions are ongoing, which is a good thing. We're starting to get some momentum again. We tried this years ago and didn't really get very far. But we're gonna stick with it, and because the need is there, been there for a long time, and the need's not going to go away. As Sanford, we are told, still has plans to build a heart hospital on their campus in downtown Bismarck. That's a whole nother subject and a whole nother ramp. The one we're talking about now would be, again, for all of the users in the Rosser corridor area. So we will keep you updated, hopefully monthly. And if you have any questions you want to ask me right now, I would try and answer them. Otherwise, you can always feel free to reach me offline if you've got suggestions or ideas or questions or comments. Let me know. So that's kind of the update on that project. Any questions? It was a pretty quiet bunch this morning. If there's no other business, and I have to apologize to John Berger again, because this has been one of our longer meetings at a half hour, just so you know. Sometimes the agendas are even briefer than this, but we try. The chair likes to make sure we don't have to fill out the full 60 minutes. If we don't need to, we don't do it. So if there is no further business and if there is no objection, we stand adjourned until our next meeting of March 13th. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.